Hi, I'm Cass. I'm an attorney with Legacy Tax Advisors. I'm back today to talk more about trusts. Our topic for today is should you have a real estate trust? So that's what we will discuss today. I'll give a little time for people to jump on before I get into this topic. And so by doing that, I like to kind of give a background about trusts, answering the question of what is a trust. Then we'll talk about who are the main people in the trust relationship. And then last, what are the main estate planning goals for creating a trust? All right, so again, my name is Cassandra, an attorney with Legacy Tax Advisors. And so the question is, what is a trust? So a trust is one of many estate planning tools in your estate plan. You've probably heard of estate planning tools such as a will, or durable powers of attorney for healthcare or for finances. Also, we have living will, healthcare directive. So there are a lot of different documents in your estate plan, and a trust is just one of many of those tools. So the reason why people are creating a trust, so a trust essentially is going to take your property out of your estate. And the reason why we want your property out of your estate when you pass is because anything that's in your name, meaning in your estate, when you pass, all of that property has to go to probate. So your question is probably, what is probate? Probate is a court process, essentially where the court is assigning the power of your signature to someone for them to administer your estate so they can distribute, transfer the property after you pass. The issue with probate court is that it's an extremely time-consuming and costly process. Let's talk about time-consuming. So right now, the average time to get through probate is about 1.5 years. In the case of a simple estate, the estate can get through perhaps in 3 to 6 months. But in cases of complex estates, it's taking several years. So this is the issue when we look at how long it takes to get through probate. And this is really an issue, we work with small business clients, especially in the case if you own a business. And in fact, most businesses tend to fail, actually up to 90% fail after the passing of an owner, or especially if you're the only person providing the services. And that's due to the lack of business succession planning. So we really try to work with our clients to educate them and encourage them to create a trust to put their business into. Because when you pass, if your business is not in trust, that business also has to go through the probate process. And so you can imagine if it's taking several years to get through probate, your clients in that business are not receiving services that perhaps you were providing. And so, of course, at that point, your business is now losing clients and therefore losing money. And perhaps at the end of the probate process, there may not be much left for your business. So that is the issue with probate in terms of how long it takes your estate to get through probate. The second issue with probate court is that it is costly. Right now, the average cost of probate is about 5% of your estate. So if your estate has to go through probate, you're looking at paying out attorney's fees, court costs. And should you be in a state where your estate reaches the threshold for estate taxation, your estate will also have to pay out estate taxes. So all of these costs, fees, taxes are all paid out before your beneficiaries receive anything. And of course, as small business owners and entrepreneurs, we're working very hard to create generational wealth for us to pass down. And so a lot of us aren't thinking about paying additional fees and costs that we really wouldn't have thought of, and we can actually avoid by creating a trust. So those are the two main issues with probate court. So that is what is a trust and why we create a trust. Essentially, you just want to take all of your property out of your name before you pass and have that in the trust. And it kind of is this idea of own nothing, control everything. with that idea is, and I'll actually segue into our trust relationship, you are going to be the grantor, the person putting your trust property in trust. And so essentially that just means that your property is now being retitled in the name of the trust, so that now the trust becomes the owner of the property. So in this idea of own nothing, now you no longer own the property because the trust is now the owner, but control everything. In most cases, in living revocable trusts, many people that are the grantor, they also name themselves as the trustee. And so at this point, you don't own the assets. However, you can control and manage the assets as trustee of the trust. All right, so with that said, that's kind of going into our second part, talking about the main people in our trust relationship. And I'd like to thank many of you if you have got our ebook or the audiobook. And I bring that up because I always like to compare the trust relationship, or as I had in the book, to a love triangle, because there are three people in our trust relationship. So as I've mentioned, we've got the grantor. The grantor is you. You're putting your property in trust. And again, all that property is being retitled. So you're changing the name from your name to the name of the trust. And so you're putting all your property in trust under the management of the trustee. So the trustee is the second person in our trust relationship. So the trustee is the person that will be managing, transferring, distributing the assets, anything that you have described in your trust document that you want the trustee to do. So you will be giving the powers and the responsibilities and the duties to the trustee to act on your behalf after your passing. So again, the second person is the trustee, and so the trustee will manage the trust property for the benefit of the beneficiary, and the beneficiary is the third person in our trust relationship. So that's our trust relationship. We've talked about what is a trust, and we've also talked about one of three main estate planning goals. There's a lot of goals, but the first one is to avoid probate. So we've talked about probate. The second would be to minimize taxation by putting your property and assets in trust. It does help you to avoid estate taxes. And then also we have minimize taxation, and then also asset protection. So that would be our third main estate planning goal. But again, there's a lot of different goals. Like we work with a lot of clients that have Medicaid planning. So they are looking to take their property out of their estate so they can qualify for Medicaid. So there's a lot of different goals that you can have for creating a trust. All right, so that is our background for trust. I will go ahead into our topic for today. So again, our topic is, should you create a real estate trust? So there are three reasons why you should consider a real estate trust. The first reason would be if there are multiple owners. The second would be for estate planning reasons. And the third is for privacy. So let's talk about number one. So in this case, perhaps you have bought real estate and there are many people that have bought with you, so multiple owners. All right. So in this case, a trust will help to document the relationship and the ownership interests of the owners. So this is how a trust can help with your goal if you have real estate investment property. So our second reason why you would want to consider a real estate trust is for estate planning reasons. So as mentioned previously, you can avoid estate taxes by putting property in trust. All right, so essentially what's happening is that the property is being taken out of your estate, because that's what we want. We want our property out of our estate, and that means that it won't be subject to estate taxes. So again, once property is out of your estate, that property will not go to probate, because again, any property that is in your estate, meaning in your name, meaning you were the owner at death, all of that property has to go to probate. So again, we want to take our property out of our name. So that would be our second reason for you to consider a real estate trust, is for estate planning reasons, and in this case is to avoid estate taxes. And our third reason is privacy. All right, so you can maintain privacy when there are multiple owners or multiple people with ownership interests in the property. So this would be the third reason, is to consider privacy. And another estate planning goal that people do have is for privacy, and a trust does provide that. A trust is private, unlike, say, a will. A lot of people don't realize that a will is public record. So when you pass, that is when your will comes into effect. And if you do not have a trust, all of the property described in the will or not will go to probate court, and the will also goes to probate court. And because it's in court, it is now court record, which is public record. So if you are wanting privacy, we definitely recommend that you create a trust to put all of your assets into, and then you don't have to worry about your beneficiaries and your property becoming public record, which is a concern, because there are people who will just look through the paper to see who has passed, look through obituaries, and these people really can go into court and say, oh, I am next of kin, and so promised me $50,000, and the court actually has to vet all of those claims. And so this is something that can slow down the probate process. And when you create a trust, you just already have described all of your intentions, so it doesn't allow for people from outside to try to stake a claim. All right, so that was our discussion for today. Again, the question was, should you create a real estate trust? The 3 reasons was either your real estate investment has multiple owners, number 2, for estate planning reasons, to avoid estate taxes, and 3 would be for privacy. So you're looking to maintain anonymity. All right, well, it was so great to be on again. Thank you for listening. Definitely be sure to check out our podcast on LinkedIn. That's every Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And you can join us actually tomorrow, Friday, and our discussion will be updating your trust and keeping your trust safe. So we will go through and talk about how you can go about updating your trust, and then also talking about what are different ways to keep your trust safe. All right. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me at trusts@legacytaxadvisorsllc.com. I'm happy to answer any of your questions. If you're catching the replay, go ahead and leave your question on the video, and I can also answer you there, or you can DM me on Facebook as well. All right, well, I hope everyone got some great value from this video. I look forward to seeing everyone in the next one. Bye.